Last month, a 53-year-old Ohio death row inmate named Dennis McGuire was executed in a way that had never been attempted before. See, normally inmates are put to death using a specific chemical concoction thought to be humane. Humane in the sense the prisoner is supposed to feel no pain. However, in this instance, the Ohio prison decided to experiment with a cocktail that had never been tried before. The injection comprised of the sedative midazolam hydromorphine, a derivative of morphine. This deadly mix took 25 entire minutes to kill McGuire. And according to witnesses, he spent that time visibly struggling and gasping for air. So why are states turning to such unproven experimental methods of execution? Well, last year, European drug manufacturers announced that they would no longer be selling the U.S. pentobarbital, one of the primary ingredients in traditional capital punishment, because of ethical concerns. But that didn't stop several death penalty states here in the U.S. from moving forward with the practice. But beyond the barbaric ways this country executes death row prisoners, the very practice of capital punishment should be questioned. So here to debunk several of the most common arguments for the death penalty, I'm joined by anti-death penalty activist and host of Moment of Web Clarity series. Did I just say that
Moment
right?
of Clarity.
Moment of Web Clarity series. Lee Camp, what's going on, man?
How you doing?
So Lee, before we get into the reasons of why people should or shouldn't support the death penalty, I want to go back to this terrible chemical stuff that I just talked about. I mean, don't you think that we should really make executing more humane, and don't you agree with that Utah legislator that said that we should just bring back firing squads?
Yeah, I think firing squads is definitely the way to go. Let's just go back to the Wild West. I mean, after all, this is like a caveman thing to do, put people to death, so why stop at the Wild West? I say just club people, right? Just take it back another step, right?
Just rocks and clubs. Okay, let's go over some of the most commonly cited defenses of capital punishment here in America.
Because you hear a lot of people say how great it is, how important it is.
Clearly there's a lot, otherwise it wouldn't still be implemented here. I don't know about you, but I don't want my tax dollars going to keep murderers alive, Lee. Why should I pay to keep feeding murderers in prison?
Right. That's a great point, Abby. Well, first of all, it actually costs more to execute these people. Because of the court trials, because of the mandatory appeals, it costs a lot more to execute than it does to keep them alive. But secondly, it's just weird to be like, that person should die because it's 10 cents out of my taxes a year. Like, okay, so 10 cents for a murderer, no good. You don't want to pay that. Well, what about 12 cents and it's a rapist? Well, what about 15 cents, it's a pedophile, you get a Tootsie Pop. Like, what kind of bargaining and dealing is this because of your 12 cents out of your tax dollars? It's insanity.
It is insanity. But you cannot deny. You can't, I mean, okay, you can argue about the money, whatever. We can argue about our pocketbooks all day. But Lee, you cannot deny that killing people sends a real clear message to all the would-be murderers in the country to not kill.
Exactly. It's a great deterrent, and that's absolutely true in that it's not true. Yeah. Every study that's ever been done shows
that people are actually still killing people right now?
People apparently keep killing people despite the death penalty. There's no difference in states that have the death penalty, don't have the death penalty, which makes sense, because I think, not that I've experienced it, but I think when you're murdering someone, you're not thinking, well, let's see, 10 years down the road, I wonder if I'll be put to death.
Okay, Lee, even if it's more expensive to kill these people, which, you know, who knows if you're lying on that one. Even if it really isn't a deterrent. Yeah. Even, you know, you're saying that there's still murders happening. I haven't seen any evidence to back that up. But even if what you're saying is true, what if it were your family? I mean, seriously, because that is the argument. What if it were your family?
Who were horribly killed. And the question is, do you mean my family killed by a murderer, or my family member was innocent on death row?
Oh, snap.
See?
That's
the question. What if it were your family that's innocent on death row? But then we get down to the best reason, right?
Why do you imply that these people are innocent on death row?
Well, we'll get to that in a second. Okay. I want to cover one other reason, that people always give. They always say, when you get through all the steps, they always get to the last one where they go, well, it feels good. Listen, it feels right to see Jeffrey Dahmer or Unabomber, some horrible person. It feels good to see them die. Well, here's the thing. Wouldn't it feel good to see, like, the heads of Goldman Sachs in a UFC fighting match with Brock Lesnar beaten with sacks of their own money? Yeah, it'd feel pretty good. And would it feel good to see the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills have drywall shoved in their mouths and spackled shut? Yeah, it'd feel pretty good. And would it feel good to see the heads of Exxon and Chevron dropped in oil and then covered in breadcrumbs and then sent into an enclosure with exotic birds and pecked. Yeah, it feels pretty good, right? Why don't we do those things? Because they're morally wrong. So if we find all those things morally unacceptable, why not a racist, faulty death penalty? And we haven't even gotten into the racist thing yet.
I really do want to see the heads of Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, I know. We all
in the first century
with their own sacks of money. I know you do, Abby. But we've decided as a society that it's morally wrong. But I didn't get yet to the racist thing yet, which is they've done studies, and in equal death penalty trials, the #1 determinant of whether you're executed, race of the victim. Race of the victim.
Not the race of the perpetrator, race of the victim?
Of the victim. So apparently, you know, killing a black person, not that big a deal. But you kill a white person, you have harmed society, okay? So you could beat Will Smith or Oprah to death with a tennis shoe, and that doesn't really matter. But if you touch a hair on Gary Busey's head, then you have really harmed us. That's
basically what it comes down to is the death penalty is completely not only immoral, but it actually has had innocent people on death row in the past. I mean, there's a couple famous cases. Troy Davis, of course. I mean, pretty much.
9 of the 11 witnesses recanted, and 1 of the remaining 2 was the main suspect or the secondary suspect. So he probably did it. So of 11 witnesses, 10 you can wipe off.
And not to mention all the people that have already been exonerated through evidence on death row, that they were already on death row and they've been exonerated.
Since 1973, 143 have been let off death row because they've been exonerated.
What does that say? What does that say?
Meaning, if they had just been killed a little faster, we would have killed innocent people.
Unbelievable. Lee Camp, we're out of time. Anti-death penalty activist, comedian. Moment of clarity. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Eddie.